Inomatics Research Labs. Okay, and before we go ahead and discuss some, okay, I hope I'm audible correctly, right? I hope there is no issue with the sounds or anything. All audible? Just a mere confirmation, and then once I get the confirmation from everybody, we can. Okay, cool, great, thank you so much. So yeah, coming back, welcome to Inomatics Research Labs. We are really pleased to have you people on board, and we'll be discussing on to a lot of different things. We'll be doing a lot in the session. I'll be taking on to your doubts if you'll be having any technical doubts or anything related to career, related to anything. But yeah, first question that comes onto or pops onto everybody's head is like, who is he, right? So okay, let me give you a brief introduction about myself. My name is Arun Kudial. I am a subject matter expert. I work for Apple. I think you might have heard about the organization. Alongside, I also work as a senior software developer with Inomatics Research Labs. Okay, so I take care of all the full stack development related everything in Inomatics. Okay, so yeah, if you would be interested in knowing anything related to full stack or related to web development, related to anything for that matter, so you could anytime could reach me out. Cool. So this is my LinkedIn, and just in case if you'd be interested in joining up, you can. Okay, so if you'd be maybe after the session you'd be having any doubts, maybe once the session gets over, if you have any doubts or anything like that, this is my LinkedIn. I'm just gonna share you out the link. If you're interested, you can just go down, and if you'd be having any doubts, you could just push your queries down on the chat section, or maybe in the you can DM me up or anything. That completely is up to you. Okay, so I'll be the course instructor for the day, and we'll be talking on to a lot of different things. Okay, we'll discuss in a little while. Okay, alongside with that, I just want to give you a little brief on Inomatics, and then we're gonna move ahead. Okay, so Inomatics Research Labs has been in the market for a really long time now. Okay, we have trained to, I don't know, around like 3,000 to 4,000 people, and we have successfully run like hundreds of batches on data science, on full stack, and a lot of different things. Okay, so what's even cool, you can just go around and follow us up, and the reason is that we come around with a lot of hackathons. Just I think few weeks back we had a hackathon on PUBG or stuff like that. So we had some data sets and you were supposed to build something out of it. So we have a lot of hackathons, even for the people who are not from Inomatics. We come across with a lot of quizzes, a lot of hackathons, a lot of different things. And it includes a lot of cash prizes also. So if you're interested in all these kind of like sort of things, so you can just go around and give us a follow. Okay, so Inomatics has been there for a really long time. We have placed a lot of people, and we are very proud of it. There are a lot of courses that goes in, like data science, machine learning, full stack, AWS, and all the different other courses as well. That you can just go around and look for us. Okay, and yeah, this is Inomatics. Today we have actually joined up to explore a very I don't know how many. Okay, how many of you are very new to full stack? Just want to know how many of you are very new to full stack, like never heard of it, have a lot of fancy about full stack but has no idea what full stack is, or anything. Just a quick yes or me or anything like that, so that I could just start from that ground. How many of you are very new to full stack development, like no idea on web development or full stack for that matter, or even don't know what full stack is? Anyone in the chat section? Just give me a yes. Aware of it. Okay, other people? Let's keep this session very two-way. Okay, so you could give me something, I'll be talking about few certain things, or maybe your doubts or anything for that matter. Aware? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So what full stack is, we'll start from that. Okay, I'm just gonna give you an idea what goes into full stack, what are all the technologies that you actually need to learn in order to go working on a live project. Oh, great. On what stack, by the way, if I may ask, Swanan? On what stack? Mean? किस पे काम कर रहे हो? And one more thing, I'm just gonna drop down. Oh, you're working on new stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I'm just gonna drop down the link for Inomatics. If you just wanna give us or go around and give us a follow, you can actually can do that. Okay. So stay connected. You will get a lot of opportunity, maybe for internships, for projects, for hackathons, for quizzes, and you can, you can win cash prizes and all of these things. Cool. Okay, how many of you here are actually aiming for FANG? Just want to know. How many of you are aiming for FANG? I hope you know what FANG is. Do you know what FANG is? FANG ke bare mein idea hai? Anyone here who is aiming for FANG? I not you. Oh, okay. Anyone who is aiming for FANG here? No idea on FANG. Okay, for the people who have no idea on FANG, FANG is just basically, just a buzzword of all of these Fortune 5 companies. When you talk about Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, all of these kind of like companies, all the top-notch companies that you talk about, like Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, all of these companies. So anybody who is aiming for all of these companies, all these Fortune 5 top-notch companies, just want to know. Okay. Okay, so I can actually resemble with you. So I was at your place sometimes before. So yeah, when you actually achieve that, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So yeah, let's start to talk on. So shall we start? Let's start. Let's talk on few things. Aiming for Google. Okay. Well, we'll come to all of these discussion in a little while. I'll be asking you few questions that you will be questioning up yourselves. Oh, why did I answer something like that? But as of now, we'll come to this topic. But shall we start? Let's discuss few things, then we'll come to few discussions or questions that you'll be having in your mind. I'm just going to answer that. I'll be just making you understand what full stack is, how you're going to come up with the project, how full stack actually is done in the industry. For example, if you talk about Apple, I can give you a lot of hands-on on how things are worked in Apple when you talk about full stack development. What stack did they work on? What are all the different technologies which are used, for all of these companies like Netflix? Because if you'll see Netflix as a whole, it's a huge space. How many of you here watch Netflix? I believe pretty much everyone. In the situation like COVID, everybody have who wasn't even like into Netflix, they have actually been into Netflix now. Yeah. So we'll talk about how the stuff goes into all of these streaming services. Can we make something out of it? Can we design something like Netflix or anything? We'll come to that. Okay. Cool. So shall we start? Kare? Let's start. And at the end, I'm just gonna like give you a lot of time for if you'd be having any queries, because we'll be answering up your queries, and then that's what we'll be doing. So shall we start? Nice. Again, don't hesitate on asking questions. Okay. I know you must be very intriguing onto a lot of different things because you've not been into the corporate world. You don't know how these companies work or how typically production actually happens. So if you'd be having any queries, don't keep your queries in your mind. Just split it out. Okay. This is a recorded session. Most probably, yeah, it's a recorded session. So if you'd be needing the recordings at the end of the day, we can work on that. Okay. Okay, Vikas. So if you'd be needing the recordings, we can work on that. Chalo, nice. So what we'll be talking about for the time being, sabse pehle we'll start on what full stack actually is, and why full stack is such a boom in the industry, and what actually goes into full stack. So there is a thing which is called as full stack development. And trust me, even if you'll go anywhere, the market capture of full stack development is pretty huge, really huge. And the reason why full stack development is such a hit or such a boom in the industry, there is a reason for that. And what is the reason? We'll talk about the reasons. Okay. Now, a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions on full stack developer. A full stack developer is you can actually think yourself like a god. Okay. The reason I'm saying that a full stack developer is kind of like a god is because he has to pretty much take care of everything, anything and everything, right? Starting from front end to middleware to back end to everything. He's the person who is a go-to person. Like he manages everything, starting from the view, from models, from the back end to databases to ORMs to a lot of different things. So whatever you see as a whole package, for example, if you go to any let's say any website for that matter, or for any web application, for example, if you talk about Amazon. So what is as the whole application that you saw, that there is not only just a one person who might have designed it and deployed and be like, okay, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna open Amazon. No, there are a bunch of developers who goes into, and there is a lot of head work that goes into for giving you such a seamless experience of, you know, buying stuff from Amazon. And there is a lot of authenticity attached to the company, and we'll talk about that. Okay. So who's a full stack developer? A full stack developer is a person who pretty much manages everything in the application, like anything, like jo bhi aap soch sakte ho, whatever you can imagine of it, what you can think of, that goes into. So typically, when you talk about a full stack developer, there are three things that are most important that a company looks into when you actually go and interview for full stack development. So the initial part actually goes from the front end development. Okay. Now, what are all the technologies involved? We'll come to that, but let's actually explore the other areas as well. Then the second area, the one of the most areas where a lot of full stack developers get stuck into, this is the part. And I don't know why not a lot of people actually gives a lot of efforts onto the second part. I don't know why. We'll talk to that. But the second part here, which is like the most important part of any development now, even if it's AI or machine learning or data science, this is the stuff which is like stagnant for any developer, like any developer, and that is, I'm pretty sure you might have heard about that, which is called as problem solving. Okay, we'll discuss onto this problem solving part. Now, front end development, second, the roadmap is for the problem solving, and at the end result is the, or rather I should be writing it, backend development. Now, when you talk about all of these development things, there are a lot of different things that goes into. Okay, so let's actually go around and explore them, how stuff goes. What is front end, what is back end, how problem solving is going to help you out, what are all the different technologies that I can go into if I'm interested in full stack. Because see, try and understand that if you are a full stack developer, don't consider yourselves, oh, I pretty much know everything, I know what goes into, I know how to create application. There would be another person who would be there to beat you up, that's for sure. And this is the bitter reality that I just want to show it in front of your face, because this is how the corporate actually works. If you're calling yourself a full stack developer, it's not going to be that, oh, you know, he knows full stack, he pretty much would be knowing anything. No, it's not the case. Because is DevOps also a part of FSD? Typically yes, typically no, but a little bit of DevOps gives you a good hand. But if you don't know DevOps, you are good to go in any company. Even if you're talking about these FANG, they actually are not expecting any full stack developer to know DevOps. But if you know, that's definitely a heads up, right? But yeah, if you want to learn DevOps, you can as a full stack developer, but that actually doesn't make a lot of sense, because the deployment wala part is not into your end, right? So the operations and the deployment part is not in your hand. That would be done by a complete different person. Okay, so for that there is a dedicated person in the industry, so you do not have to worry about the DevOps part. If you're good with all of these three by heart, and if you think that yeah, you would be able to grasp onto on any of the three roadmaps of full stack development, I think you'll be good to go. It's not like that you have to do DevOps, or if you don't do it, you don't get a job or anything, or you get a heads up, that's for sure, but not necessarily. Okay, sure. Now let's start with front end development, and let's see what are all the technologies that goes into. Now there are three very founding technologies that is like the most necessary part for any front end developer. Like if you don't know that, I think you have to look into what is to be done. So the three very founding technologies that I'm pretty sure you might have heard about: HTML, typically HTML5 these days, but yeah, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, when you talk about these three technologies have three different jobs in order to create I'll say web pages, not web applications, rather web pages. Now, whenever you go to any website, how the website looks, how the website feels, how the website responses to different things or to different inputs or to different sections is basically the part of your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is a way where you can give a structure to your application, that where is to be put what. If let's suppose if you're talking about let's say a menu bar or a navigation bar, so how the navigation bar is going to look like, how that navigation bar is going to feel, that is up to the HTML part, because the HTML is the one which will be giving a bone like structure to your web pages or web applications. So whatever the UI part that you actually see is a part of your HTML. The structure of the page is basically the part of your HTML. So in HTML, you will be learning how to structure your web application. So the structure part actually goes here. Okay. So where is the navigation bar? Where is the main body? Where is the sections? Where are the headers? Where are the sidebar? Where is the footer? And all of these different things. That is actually a part of your HTML. So you'll have to completely be specifying that where actually goes what. Okay. Now that's the structure part. Now the second part, which again is a critical part, which is the CSS, the styling part, that how the look is going to look like, how the touch up of the structure is going to be. It's kind of like a makeup that you apply onto, just an ordinary face. If you have just a structure, how do you design a lot of makeups and all of these things? So all the markup and makeup wala part is your CSS. CSS basically shorts for cascading style sheets. And there is a lot of different things. For example, media queries, box models, a lot of different attributes that you learn about how to style your web application. So just the styling part, nothing else, just the styling part basically goes into CSS. Now, alongside with that, using CSS for a big production based applications is not a good idea typically. So alongside with that, you learn another framework which is called as Bootstrap. I'm pretty sure a lot of people might have heard about this. So there is Bootstrap also. So in Bootstrap, there are a lot of different versions of Bootstrap. Like for example, you have Bootstrap 3, Bootstrap 4, Bootstrap 5, and stuff like that. So you can actually learn Bootstrap and design or style your application in a much more easier way. Okay, so this is the two more fundamentals of the technology, which is CSS and Bootstrap. Now, both of the things goes hand by hand. If you're using Bootstrap, that there is going to be a probability that you're going to use CSS along with it. Or if you're using, or the vice versa is also true, that if you're using CSS, you're going to use Bootstrap along with that. So these both the technologies goes hand by hand. Now, the next part is basically the most critical part. Like if you actually are good with JavaScript, trust me on the fact, I can give you in written, you would have a good career. Like actually a good career. The reason is that JavaScript is basically the heart of web development, and you can just go around and go onto Google and search about JavaScript. JavaScript is the most exclusive language that you'll ever will find on any of the platforms. Like JavaScript is pretty much everywhere. Did you ever heard about the moon mission that ISRO had just a few couple of years ago, or maybe just last year? जो हमारा moon mission था, we landed onto moon and we did a little research. Have you ever heard of Chandrayaan? Yeah, right. Did you hear about that? Other people, did you hear about it? सुना उसके बारे में? Did you know that what was the programming language which actually went into programming language के बारे में पता है जिससे उसको program किया था? That was actually JavaScript. Don't get amazed, but it was JavaScript. So you from here can understand the power and the utility of JavaScript. So trust me on the fact that if you actually know JavaScript, you will be having a good career like ahead. Like if you know, see, the reason I'm telling you why I'm emphasizing on JavaScript, that JavaScript is one language on which all the other frameworks, for example, all the front-end frameworks that you talk about, maybe React or Angular or Vue or all of these different things, all these are actually based on JavaScript. Like even if you talk about Angular is based on TypeScript. And what is TypeScript? TypeScript is just a superset of JavaScript. So like if you're good with JavaScript, you can write React, you can write web pages or create web pages on React, you can create web pages on Angular, you can create web pages on Vue, you can create web pages just by using just normal JavaScript. So up to you. right? So that is why I'm saying that JavaScript is the heart of web development. Like if you know this by heart, JavaScript is going to give you a lot of different things, a lot of different things. Okay. Now the feel and the touch up, like how the website is going to feel, that feel is basically given by JavaScript. Now, what's going to happen if I bring my mouse out here, or what will happen if I write something in my form? What will happen if I submit this form? What's going to happen to the data? How to extract the data from the database to your front end, and all the different things, everything and anything which is done, the programmatical part is basically done by JavaScript. And there is a lot of different things that goes into. I'm not okay. How many of you have done web development before? Anybody out here who have done or has a little hands-on on web development? Anyone? Yeah. So these guys would be relating. Like if you talk about the basics, or if you talk about DOM, if you talk about events, all of these different things that even if you'll not use it, you're not going to do anything, right? And trust me on the fact, you can write just the whole application just by using JavaScript. For example, how many of you have worked on React? How many of you have worked on React? Okay, so you would pretty much would be knowing about something called as JSX. सुना है JSX के बारे में विकास? Yeah, JSX. So if you actually look into JSX, have you actually written any HTML out there? कुछ HTML लिखा है आपने? Have you written any HTML? Think about it. Have you written any HTML? कुछ HTML लिखा है? It's similar to HTML. I'm saying it's similar to it. Is it HTML? It's not HTML. Think about it. So just think how powerful your JavaScript could be, that you're not even writing HTML, but you can create full-fledged production-ready applications out of just JavaScript, nothing else. That is why JavaScript is so important for everyone to actually learn and grasp, because even if you talk about front-end frameworks like React, Angular, these are all based on JavaScript, as I said. Okay, so JavaScript is a must. Now, the next part out from here goes into, if you talk about the stack of technologies, that goes into something called as Ajax. Anyone here who have done Ajax? Isn't Ajax here? Has anyone done Ajax? Okay, a few people. Now, this Ajax is a way of communicating to servers. So server communication basically comes out here when you talk about Ajax. I'll show you few projects at the end of the day that like in the course, generally we go around and make all of these things. Now you can design pretty much anything. You can design your own Netflix, you can design your own YouTube, you can design your own GitHub, you can design your own Zomato, you can design your own pretty much anything that you want just by using all of these 4 technologies or 5 technologies, which is HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, and Ajax. So if you know these technologies, you can build or you can just build a clone for Google, or you can build a clone for YouTube. You can build a clone of Zomato, or all of these different things that we have seen like before, right? So these technology stack, this is the front end part. Like we have not even gone into back end, but from till here, you'll be able to create, just by using all of these 5 technologies, you will be able to create production ready applications out of it. Like not having any backend or databases for that, but yeah, you'll be able to create applications out of it. For example, YouTube, GitHub, Swiggy, Zomato, and all of these kind of applications. Okay, so this is the Ajax part. Now the next part here basically comes on the front-end frameworks. Now, if you actually know few of the front-end frameworks, you might have heard about few front-end frameworks. There are a lot in the market, like a lot in the market. For example, if you talk about different companies basically uses different front-end frameworks depending on what basically is used for them. Like how many of you who told me that he's aspiring for Google or anything? Did someone say that you were aspiring for Google? Who was that? Who was aspiring for Google? Okay, some few people were. Okay, now I'll tell you what would be your criteria of getting into FANG, or if you're thinking of to get into full stack development, or as a full stack developer into any of the FANG companies. This is how you can categorize yourself into. Okay, so I'll tell you why. Now, if you talk about any front-end frameworks in the market, there are actually 3 which are like dominating the whole market. So that is called as something like React. So there are 3 typically: React, Angular, and Vue. There are three very important front-end frameworks, which are React, Angular, and Vue. Now, the categorization actually goes from company to company and learning curve to learning curve. Now, I'll just give you a little brief. I'm not going to go too much inside it. So, but I'm just going to give you a brief. So there are three. Either you can learn Angular. Now, Angular and Angular JS are like two different things. Nobody uses Angular JS. It's deprecated now. Nobody works on it. There are no updates for Angular JS. Angular JS basically meant Angular 1, or rather, I should just call it Angular 2 plus. So if somebody is working on Angular, they'll be relating to me, why am I calling this as Angular 2 plus or just Angular? The reason is that there are a lot of different changes on Angular JS and Angular, okay, or Angular 2 plus. So nobody works on Angular JS, so don't fall for Angular JS. It's just gonna be waste of time. So don't go for Angular JS. So if any front-end frameworks that you can learn, it's either can be Angular, or it could be React, or it could be Vue. Okay. Now let's talk about the who is the owner of whom. So when you talk about Angular, this is owned by Google. Okay. So Google is the one that owns Angular. So it's managed by Angular. The Angular is managed by Google. All the builds that you see or all the updates that you see, Google employees actually work on Angular. So if you're aiming for Google, I think that learning Angular is going to be the best option for you. But the point here is, has anyone actually seen Google? Like, have you ever seen the coding for Google? Kisne Google ka code dekha hai? Has anyone seen the code for Google? Okay, so if you haven't, I'm just gonna like give you a little heads up to that. So if you actually go to Google, let's go to Google, and let's come out here. Let's right click and let's inspect the elements. Just a sec. So if you'll see out here, everything that you're doing, if you'll inspect this page and try to see the source code of the same, if you'll see out here, so you'll see that all of these different classes that you're seeing out here, like all the different things, these are basically all React based. Now that's a little, and how do I come to know that these are all React based? When you'll be learning React, you'll get to know when you actually deploy your application or you build your application or test your application. This is how you basically test. This is how the class name actually goes. But this is not the case when you do it in Angular. So even if you'll go around and Google about it, that on what technology is the Google formed of, it's not formed out of Angular. So that's like a little weird. Can you think about that? Like, Google as a company owns Angular, but they are not designing their own applications out of Angular. Like what is that? Are you getting the irony? Irony samajh aa raha hai? But what is the irony? The irony is that if you know Angular, you are good to go with, yeah, that's a little strange. I'll tell you the reason why. The Angular is owned by Google, but they do not actually build their own applications out of Google. That's a little strange. But the point here is that, have you seen in desktop applications of Android apps? Have you ever seen any desktop versions of Android applications? Like, for example, if I talk about WhatsApp, like WhatsApp, the application, the desktop applications or web applications of, for example, let's talk on WhatsApp, like the WhatsApp application that you actually download for your computer. Those are actually based on Angular. Right, so this is the irony. Now, yeah, you can talk about Telegram or stuff like that. All these internet-based applications which are managed by Google. For example, when you talk about like, you could think about any Android-related application. These are actually managed on Angular. So that's a little irony wala part. So like Google is like little puzzled up onto all of these things. But keep in mind that Google is not made of Angular. So that's like a little weird apart. So this is where the opportunity opens up. So why I was telling you about it, that even if you know Angular or even if you know React, you have an equal opportunity for actually landing on Google. I hope you're getting the point what I'm trying to explain you. So even if you know Angular or even if you know React, you can still tap on to Google. I hope this makes sense. So even if you know Angular or even if you know React, you're pretty much good to go for a Google, right? The reason is because there are a few applications which are based on React. For example, the Google itself. So it's based on React, but again, the same stuff. But they also manage to work on Angular. So if you want to go on to any team, for example, React team or Angular team, you can actually land onto Google. Now, when it comes to React, React is basically managed by Facebook. It's the thing from Facebook. Now, if you'll see the market capture of these front-end frameworks, the most market is captured by React. Like the majority of the part is managed by React. If you see any general front-end framework, you'll generally will find out that, oh, this is made up of React, for example, Google, right? So why is it that React is so popular in the market? Let's talk about that for a little second. There are two factors that the React is so popular in the market, and this is why people get attracted towards React. The reason is there are two things. First thing is the learning curve is easy, or the learning curve for learning is low. That means you do not have to spend a lot of your brains in order to actually understand what's going on in the React. Like if you're good with JavaScript, as I said, if you're good with JavaScript, you do not have to wrap your head around onto a lot of things when it comes to React. You can pretty much do a lot of things on React. Okay, so the learning curve is very low. And the second thing why this is so popular, that it uses JavaScript. Its main use of JavaScript. So just because everything that you do inside React is based off JavaScript, this is why React is very popular. But when you actually talk about Angular, it's actually the opposite way around. The learning curve for Angular is basically very high. And the reason, I'll just tell you, if you want to know, are you interested, or should I like go into one excruciating detail? If you're interested, if I'm not boring you for that, so I can actually go into just one excruciating details. Shall I? Only if you allow me. Rest we can just move ahead. That's fine. Should I? Okay. So I'll just tell you. Now, for the people who might have worked on Angular, or the people who might have worked on React, they would try to understand me. Anyone here who has worked with Angular? Kisne Angular pe kaam kiya hai? Anyone who has worked on Angular? Just give me a yes, or just give me a me. Not you. Okay. Anyone who has worked on Angular? Kisne Angular pe kaam kiya hai? Okay, Swanand has worked on Angular. Now, Swanand, if I ask you, let's suppose if I want to perform routing in Angular, will I be able to do it? Like, do I need to install extra packages for it? If I just want to perform routing, do I need to install any extra packages for that, or I would be able to do that with the framework, inside the framework itself? What's the case? Do I need to install something, or like it's pre-built? Yes, what? Like I'm giving you two options. Like, do I need to install it, or is it pre-built? Okay, let it be. So I'll just give you an idea. If you talk about Angular, Angular is a big package. Yeah, it's inbuilt. It's a big package. Like it's a package wherein, yeah, it's a package in which like you'll get everything and anything. Like you open the package and boom, you get everything. So this is why the learning curve for Angular is very high. Like starting from routing to Angular material, Angular, like from styling to routing to everything for production and everything, building your own assets and stuff like that. Everything is in the house. Like you do not need to go anywhere out in order to do something. If you want to, like, if you're thinking of doing something, you will pretty much will get the resources inside the framework itself. So you do not need to go around and look for different things. That is why React, generally people don't have a lot of learning situation. So that is why React is so popular, because in React, it's a very limited framework. And even if you'll see, yeah, the Angular also uses SPA, which is single page applications. So even React and Angular and Vue, everybody works the same way, that it creates single page applications and you get a different views of the same. But the point here is that the learning curve for Angular is high, the learning curve for React is low, because React, okay, if you'll go to Google, let me actually go around and search it for you. If you'll go to Google, and if you'll see React is a framework or library, typically it's a library. Okay, so typically it's a library, The reason why it's called as a library, it's because it's very tiny, it's very small. There are not a lot of things that goes into this library. But whereas if you talk about React is a full-fledged framework wherein you get everything inside the framework. A framework is where you are not doing a lot of things, but you're getting a lot of things out of it. Like, you do not need to go around and install routers and stuff like that. But even if you want to do something like that for routing in React, you'll have to go around and install React Router DOM. So for with use of which you can go around and explore that. But typically a React is a library, but you can actually make it work like a framework by installing different packages into your application and making it work like a framework. So this is the case. This is the general difference. So if you're not scared of learning, you can actually learn React. And if you're a little scared up, or if you just want to build applications out of it, so you can use React. And the reason why people are opting for React, because there are a lot of job opportunities for React as compared to Angular, because not a lot of company uses Angular and it actually takes a lot of your brains. So this is the case. I hope the difference between both the things are clear, Angular and React. I hope this makes sense. Why and what's the difference between React? What's the difference between Angular? What's good in Angular? What's not good in Angular? What's good in React? It's not good in the vice versa part. So I hope the conversion makes sense. Angular and React. Are we good with Angular and React? Should we move ahead? Guys, should we move ahead? Aage chaleng? Nice. Now, when you actually talk about Vue is basically not owned by anyone. It's an open source. Okay, it's just open source. It's basically a combination of Angular and React. So if you want to get a heads up, you can actually do that. But I'll suggest you don't, because there are not a lot of job opportunities for Vue. So if you, and one thing more, guys, do not restrict yourself as a developer. For example, if you started on with React, you should actually go around and check out Angular as well. That's what I have done, and that's what I've learned out of the experience. If you don't do it, your company will make you do it. So that's fine. So it's not like if you're a React developer, you will not go and learn Angular, or if you're an Angular developer, you shouldn't learn React. So these are like interchangeable piece of code or interchangeable front-end frameworks that you can go around and opt for. Okay, so this is the case. Now, anything that you want to ask from front-end? Anything that you want to ask from the front-end developer? Anything? If you're good till here, just give me a yes, we'll move ahead. Any question that is coming into your mind, please feel free to push your doubts in the chat section. CSS related, yeah, please ask. CSS related, ask me. Like, should I talk more about on CSS? Yeah, that's what you're saying? Because if you have doubt related to CSS, that's fine. You can ask me your doubts. Other people, we're good. Shall we move ahead? There are a lot of sources to learn JS. What is the most recommended way of, is there any recommended way of learning so that we do not waste our time? Yeah, there actually is. There is something which is called as MDN. Have you ever heard about that? MDN? So MDN is basically the Mozilla Developers Network. So this is the official documentation of JavaScript. So if you want to learn JavaScript, this is the best place you can go for, and you can learn, JavaScript. Just go to Google and just write JavaScript. Animation, transition, how to create special effect. These are the things that got me in between. Okay, yeah, we can talk about that. Animations and transitions. So these are actually all goes in together. Like if you talk about CSS, you can use these transitions. Okay, so how when things load up, like how the animation should go around, you can actually do all of these things. Even you can do is that you can use these animations and effects just by using Bootstrap. So have you ever worked, because have you worked on Bootstrap? So if you actually know how to cover out on Bootstrap, you can actually do a lot of animations using Bootstrap. But the point here is going to be that you'll have to include both the CDN as well as the script tags for the Bootstrap to work into, right? So yeah, we actually cover out all of these things when, it's the advanced CSS part, the advanced positioning part, the animations part is a little more complex. So not exactly complex, but you'll have to think about a lot that, okay, this is how my application is going to look like when it's going to open or stuff like that. So yeah, it confuses for a little beginner, but the moment you actually think that, yeah, you are good with the CSS part, then you should actually go for animations and all of these things, animations, transitions. Do we cover both React and Angular in this course? No. The reason is that Angular basically takes and requires a lot of time. And plus, if you'll see the market capture for Angular is pretty low as compared to, okay, I'm just gonna share you out the report. So if you actually go to Google and search it out for Angular versus React market share, so you'll see that React has 2.1 or 2.5, wherein you'll see that it's just 0.4%. Can you see that? Sign, can you see that? So you'll see a lot of difference, like 0.04 to 2.5. There is a lot of difference between the same. And there are not a lot of jobs that comes into Angular. But the point is that if somebody is an Angular developer and if he lands up on a job, the pay scale as compared to that of the React developers definitely is going to be higher as compared to the React developers. The reason is that they have to actually learn a lot of different things. And even you'll see the few questions. Is Angular more popular than React or stuff like that? You can do a lot of research. It's all personal preference, whatever you. Okay, I'm just gonna give you a very basic idea. How many of you have watched Friends? कितने लोगों ने Friends देखा है? No, it's not. Even Angular is still used out there. Like if you talk about Mercedes and stuff like that, these companies use Angular still. So that's something. How many of you have watched Friends? Friends वाले लोग कितने? How many of you watch Friends? One. Others? How many of you watch Friends? Jaldi, quickly. It's nothing to feel shy about. It's just a show. Planning to. Okay. Others? Just 2 or 3 people. Guys, come on. How many of you watch Friends? Friends कितने लोगों ने देखा? I won't watch the reunion though. I can see your experiences out there. Guys, other people, how many of you watched Friends? Friends. Quickly, just a yes or no. Not gonna take much time. No? Okay. How many of you watched How I Met Your Mother? Let's talk about that then. Has anyone seen How I Met Your Mother? Anyone? No? Now I'll tell you what. Oh, Megha, I'm so sorry for that. I'll tell you what. I don't love Friends, but I love How I Met Your Mother. The reason is because I watched How I Met Your Mother first, and then I saw Friends. Both the rom-coms are based. Yeah, exactly. Both the rom-coms are similar, very similar, like pretty much similar or pretty much the same. But it actually depends on what you saw first. So that's the case. Like for the people, generally you'll find out for the people who are too much into React, they won't like Angular, or to the people who are too much into Angular, they won't like React, right? So this is the same example. Like if you have watched Friends first, you'll love Friends. If you have watched How I Met Your Mother first, you're gonna love that. So in my case, I watched How I Met Your Mother first as compared to Friends. That is one of the reasons I've not even seen even a single episode of Friends. I've like literally no idea what Friends is. And I think it's a lot of hype. Like it's very overrated. Like a lot of people talking about Friends all the time and being like, oh, Friends is life, Friends is this, Friends is that. But it's actually very overrated. Same is the case with React. It's very overrated. Okay. But again, depending on the market share, as you'll see, React is more popular. So if you want to land on a good job, you'll have to learn React. So that's the case. I hope this example makes sense. I personally feel it's very difficult up to date on Angular text. I'll tell full stack. Yeah, that's the case, guys. That's definitely the case, as Anurag said. A full stack developer, as I just said, a full stack developer is a god. Like he never stops learning. He is the one who manages everything, starting from database to front end to back end, and these technologies changes rapidly, like rapidly. And you always will have to keep your heads up in order, if you want to stay in the organization or if you want to stay in the market, you'll have to stick to that, right? It's not going to be, oh, I just learned, full stack, now I know everything in full stack. Might be a situation overnight, the whole things changes. There is a new front end framework which everybody's talking about, so you'll also will have to catch up to that front end framework. But the best part here is that it's not going to be all of a sudden change. Oh, like I used to work on React and there is a complete different thing that came around. It's not going to be the same. But like if you're good with React, or if you're good with JavaScript, trust me on the fact, there is nothing that you're gonna find out that's going to be difficult. So generally it's just the JavaScript part. And the best resource that I can give you for JavaScript is this. You can go around and learn a lot of different things out from there, from starting from complete beginners to JavaScript, JavaScript guide. If you'll go around here, you'll see a lot of different things like numbers, dates, data types like number, string, Boolean, null, undefined, all of these different kinds. And you can go into a lot of excruciating details and learn about it. So details on object model, which is basically called as DOM, document object model. So you can actually go around and learn. And once you're good with this, I trust me, like front-end frameworks are nothing in front of you, like nothing in front of you. So JavaScript is the part which you actually need to go into very in depth, like very, very in depth. Okay, cool. Any other doubts? If you have any other doubts, then we'll discuss on to the doubts, and then we will be talking about a few other things as well. Any doubts? If you're good till here, just give me a yes, we'll move ahead. If you're good, give me a yes. If you have doubts, put that out in the chat section, then we're gonna move ahead. Good enough? Chalo, nice. So let's minimize this. Let's come here. Now, before I actually go into the problem solving part, because the problem solving part is going to be a little typical. So I'm just gonna like haul that up, and I'm just gonna go to the backend and try to understand what backend typically is. Now, backend is a complete different problem altogether. Do we also cover hooks? Yeah, so we cover hooks. We cover state management, and typically in state management we cover both the things, context APIs and Redux. So both the parts are there in React when we'll be doing with the course in Nomatics. So we'll be covering out hooks like use state and stuff like that, and we'll also be covering out context APIs, and we'll also be covering out Redux, the state management. Okay, so we'll be covering out both things. I hope this makes sense. So we'll cover out hooks. Yes, definitely we'll cover out hooks. Hooks is very important in React. So yeah, component communication makes a lot of sense. So should we start on with backend? Backend के बारे में discussion करें थोड़ा सा. Let's discuss on backend वाला part, shall we? Shall we start? Now, if you talk about the backend development part, backend is again as complicated as that of the front end development part. Now, when you talk about backend is also very, very disintegrated. For example, I'll just give you a very basic example of backend. If you talk about the backend development, the backend is basically divided into a lot of different sections. For example, you can create a backend based on, it could be a JavaScript based backend. It could be a Java based backend. It would be a Python based backend. Okay, Python based backend. It could be just just a normal. I'll come to this normal backend. Yeah, nobody uses .NET backends anymore, so it's deprecated, pretty much deprecated from the market. I'm just talking about the market right now. Now, when you talk about the backend development, as I said, there are a lot of technology, a lot of programming language on which your backend is based on. For example, if you talk about JavaScript based backend, there is something which is called as Node.js plus Express.js. Okay, so this is the case where it goes into when you talk about the JavaScript based backends. So what is a backend? We'll talk about that. First, let's talk about the technologies. When you talk about Java based backends, there are technologies which is called as Spring plus Spring Boot. Spring Boot. So this is the technology which goes into if you're learning with Java based. And when you have Python based backend, there is something which is called as Django and Flask. So this is Django and Flask, which goes into if you're talking about the Python based backend. Now, if you talk about any normal backend, so the normal backend could be if you're using something like JSON servers. Has anyone worked on JSON servers? Has anyone worked on JSON servers? No. So JSON server is just like if you have data, just go around and deploy it using UI. So you can create your UI like just in a programming language, but this is not recommended. You generally don't do that. These are not secure. So normal backend if you're working on JSON servers or stuff like that. So we're gonna not talk about JSON servers. Most probably we'll cover out this JSON server in the React itself, just to show you how to work on context APIs and stuff like that. But JSON servers are not recommended. Nobody uses or works on JSON servers. Typically, the two are very, very, very famous, which are, yeah, like a dummy database, for example. Yeah, you can talk about like a dummy database. So these two are the most popular one, like the most popular one. Like every and pretty much every other industry either is going to be based on Node.js Express, or either they are going to be Spring and Spring Boot Express. SQLite is used in, SQLite is basically a database, not a backend. So Anand, so SQLite is a database. We'll come to the database, that what database we'll be talking to. It's a database, not a backend. Okay, backend and database are two different things. I'll just give you an idea what a backend is. Okay, so your backend either could be based on Node.js Express, or either it could be based on Spring and Spring Boot. Now, when you talk about Node.js and Express, these are very easy to make. Like you can learn this like in 1 hour or just 1.5 hours or 2 hour session. So what we have planned, that we are going to actually give you a blend of both of them. So it's going to be a blend, the best of both the worlds. So what we'll be doing, while we'll be doing React, we are also going to teach you Node.js and Express alongside when we'll be doing your React wala part, because it just doesn't, if you know JavaScript well, creating Node.js and Express.js backend, it's not going to be a big rocket science for you people. It's going to be very easy. But this is the part where it comes to a lot of halt, because this is the most secure backend that you will ever come across with. Using a lot of security in Node.js and Express, using Auth0 and a lot of different things, you could do that, but it's not so secure. It's not like too secure. But when you actually talk about Java, and when you talk about Spring and Spring Boot, you actually build the whole backend from the scratch. And the best example that I can give you for this Spring and Spring Boot is Netflix. Can you imagine how fast, how furious Netflix works? You might have seen the moment you log in. Have you ever encountered a buffering issue in Netflix? Ever? Have you ever seen कि buffering वाला issue आ रहा है? It's just exactly like WhatsApp. कि अगर आपके पास ठीक-ठाक भी internet चल रहा है, so you'll be able to access Netflix. Do you agree with me? If anybody uses Netflix out here, they'll agree with me that even if you do not have a lot of internet speed, still you can buffer Netflix, because it doesn't need a lot of things. And even if you try to access something of a content from Netflix, you will generally find out that the access speed is really quick. Second point. Third point that you will generally find out, that have you ever tried encountering an issue that if, let's suppose, if you're working with the basic plan for Netflix, wherein you cannot connect 3 users in one account, have you ever seen the moment the third person enters into Netflix, everybody's Netflix crashes? देखा है आपने ऑब्जर्व किया होगा इसको. जनरली ये सारी चीजें Amazon वेब सर्विसेज या ये Amazon प्राइम वगैरह इन सब चीजों में नहीं होता है. But generally, if you'll find it out on Netflix, the moment there is going to be one more computer connected from your plan, it's instantly it's gonna shut out for it. It gives you pardon me karke. A black colored TV comes onto display and says, hey, pardon me, I think there are more devices connected. You might have seen that. Have you seen that? Have you encountered that issue? देखा है आपने? This is why Spring and Spring Boot is so popular and so much in demand. The reason is it gives you a lot of flexibility on doing a lot of different things. It's more secure, it's more robust, it's more speedy as compared to as that of all of these different things. Rapid API development, no. So even if you talk about, see, the point the Java-based backends is so popular. The reason is that you design every of your backend from scratch, Anurag. Now, if you remember when you used to work on Spring Boot, you design models, you design services, you design routes, you design everything. Like even when you write something in the applications.properties file, you specify each and everything that, hey, this is the user ID, this is the password. Once the authentication is completed, then only you will give the access to your user and stuff like that. You might have seen that if you have worked on Spring Boot. So you design everything from scratch. Even if you talk about even if you talk about models, even if you talk about the repository, even if you talk about the database and all of these things, so everything is managed from scratch. Okay, Anurag? So this is why this is more robust. When you talk about Node.js and Express, you do not specify too much. All you do is just you give mention up your ports and stuff like that. So what we have come out with, that we are going to give you the best of both the worlds. We'll also be teaching you Node.js and Express, and alongside we'll also be doing Spring and Spring Boot. Okay, but majority of the focus is going to be on Java based backend, which is the Spring and Spring Boot. Okay, do you want to have a look on what a backend is? Backend के बारे में थोड़ी सी चीजें देखनी है. Do you want to have a look on backend? Guys, do you want to have a look on backend? मैं एक बार आपको थोड़ा सा backend दिखा देता हूँ, so that you get an idea. Spring वाला backend, yeah, we can have a look on that. Code अभी बाद में देखते हैं, थोड़ी देर में देखते हैं अभी code. But let's actually see the running version of the same, shall we? Running version देखें. Let's actually look at the running version. The best example that I can give you as of now, if you want to design a GitHub, you can actually design a GitHub by using the backend of GitHub, and the backend of GitHub, or the API of GitHub basically is, you can just go to api.github.com/users. So can you see this? This is looking ugly, but just have a look on it. Everyone can see this? Everyone can see this? Guys, everyone is able to see this? Now, let's try to discuss this. Okay, let's try to discuss this. Everybody out here who doesn't have any idea on backend, everybody would be thinking, hey, what is this? Like, what is this? Like, are we going to learn how to make this? But if you'll just see, this is just normal text, like literally normal text, but this text is very useful. Like, this is the actual data. Like, this is the data for which everybody tries to capture you on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like this. This is the data. Like, this is the actual data. For example, if somebody wants to go and look into any image, you'll see a thing which is called as avatar URL. And if you'll actually will copy this whole stuff and paste it in your tab, and boom, can you see that? Can you see that? It looks like a text, but it's not actually text. It's a lot more than that. Can you see that? So this is basically a backend which is given to you by GitHub itself, wherein you can access different users of GitHub. So in this case, what happens is that there is a bunch of data provided for one particular user of GitHub. So what is the username of that user? What is the ID of that user? What is the node ID of that user? What is the avatar, as in like, what is the image of the user, right? How can you access this particular user? So if I actually copy this and go back, it will actually make you land up to his GitHub. Oh no, this is basically, oh no, this is the URL. So if you paste this in, it will just take you to his GitHub, which is this. Can you see this? So there is a lot of things, right? This is the case which is coming directly from the database of your GitHub. GitHub ke database se all of this data is coming, and you can actually fetch this data. You can find his followers, like what are his followers. If you want to have a look on his followers, who are the followers of this person, and you'll find this, the number of people who are following this person. Okay, so these are his followers, right? How many people he follows, you can get it from here. Like, who does he follow, whether he follows it or not. What are all the repos? If you want to just have a look on his repos, you can have a look on his repos. I don't know if you know about repositories or not, but yeah, but GitHub is a part of your course in this. I'm just going to give you that. Okay, you can see that there are a lot of repos that this person has, as you'll see out here. So you can get the data for what are all the different repositories this particular user has, right? And you can just make an application, a full-fledged application out of it, right? Wherein you can clone this whole stuff up, and you can create a GitHub clone, and where you can see, hey, I have created up a GitHub clone wherein you can search a user, you can follow a user, you can do a lot of different things, and you can create a full-fledged application. Don't you think creating an application out of it is going to be easy if you know how to code along with JavaScript? Think about it. Think about it, that if you actually know how to create all of these things, can't you integrate this into your front end and create a web application out of it? Think about it. Like, it's so easy, right? But you should actually know how to work on JavaScript, and you should know how to work on Ajax so that you can create a full-fledged application out of it. So that's what we'll be doing. Okay, so this is the backend. Now, in order to create this backend, there is actually a lot of hustle that goes into. Like, if I'm just gonna give you my GitHub, I have a lot of different things on my GitHub. So my repositories, I think I have, yeah, this blog post application. Just a template. I think I had something like blog post application. Blog post. I think it's just template. Boot Hibernate employee. Okay, I'm just gonna give it like this. So no, this is not even the case. This is the DAO implementation, right? No, not this. Blog post application. Yeah, sorry, yeah, number 2. So this is the case, guys. Everyone, just pay attention. Now, this is the coding part that we'll be doing. Everyone is seeing this. Just have a look on it, and we'll talk about this. So this is a Java-based backend, which contains a lot of endpoints like creating a database or creating an endpoint, updating the data, deleting the data from the blog post, and it's also connected to a Postgres. Now, what is the connectivity? We'll talk about that in a little second, but let's go around and have a look on the code. So out here, you'll generally will find out that there are a lot of different things, that the things that I was telling you about, that why is this so popular and why is this so robust? Because you design your own controllers, you design your own models, you design your own repositories, you design your own service, right? But in case of when you do this in JavaScript based backends, this is not the case that you can do. So this is why this is more robust. Typically, I just want you guys to have a look on the controller part, because this is where all the actual controllers goes into. So this is how we'll be designing the whole Java base. So you can see that what will happen if the user is going to go on /posts. See, as you'll see out here, when I was doing this on GitHub, so you could see the whole URL, which is api.github.com/users, right? So this /users, you'll have to code around that. Okay, that hey, if my user goes on to /users, what will I do? Right. So that's what we are doing in Java-based application. We are saying that hey, if the request is going to be mapped to /posts, what are we going to do? If the user is going to go on /post/new post, what's going to happen? If my user is going to go to /post/create, what will happen, and so on and so forth. I hope this is making sense, guys. I hope this is making sense. Okay, so this is how you will be dealing on with different things. Now you can tap onto your HTTP session. For example, you can make your user stay log in for the amount of time until and unless he doesn't go around and log out himself. So you can actually make them stick. You might have seen that even if you go to Netflix, you do not have to enter your credentials over and over again. Have you seen that? Do not need to write the credentials over and over and over again. It just makes you logged in like all the time. This is because of this HTTP session. We'll talk about a lot of different things when we'll be designing that. But I hope this makes sense. Baat samajh aaya? That what are we going to do? I hope this is making sense. Yeah. And just in case if you're interested, you can actually go around and connect with me on GitHub as well. So I'm just gonna drop down my GitHub. If you're interested, you can go around and have a look on the repositories if you're interested. And there are a lot of different things that I've done on my GitHub. So just in case if you're interested. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna give you a little idea on how backend basically works. So what happens is that I'm just going to give you a whole full stack idea. Now what happens is you have designed the front end. Let's say this is your front end. Okay. Now this is the front end. Let's call this front end application, or front end development that you have done using React and all of these things. Now in the back end, what happens is in the back end, you design your back end. And in the back end, you do all of that thing. Slash uspe kya hone wala hai, slash uspe what's going to happen, slash uspe kya what's going to happen. And whatever data that you'll be dealing with, you're going to connect this you're going to connect this to a database. This is going to be your database. And whatever the things that will be happening, it's going to fetch the data and it's going to post the data in your database. So it's going to fetch the data and it's going to post the data in the database. Okay. And this is done by a thing which is called as an ORM, which basically shorts for object relational mapping. You actually get the data from the database and you post the data inside the database. So this actually creates your whole backend. This is what you call this as a backend. This is your whole backend. This is your whole backend wala part. So this is what you call this as a backend. So this is your backend. Now this is your front end. Now what you basically do, whatever you have written or whatever you are seeing or whatever templates that you're seeing out here into different sections, you actually make a request to this backend. You make a request to this backend and you get the response from the backend. And whatever response that you get out of it, you actually present that nicely to your user so that he could see all of these things. And these are basically done with different things. For example, you'll use Ajax, you can use Fetch, you can use Axios, you can use pretty much anything that you want. And these are all based off JavaScript. Now, the whole thing that we have seen, which is a combination of your front end and your back end that you're seeing out here, this whole combination, this is what you call this as a full stack application. I hope now this is making sense. Is it making sense now? That this is your full stack application, wherein from the front end, you're making a request to your backend. In that backend, you have created a backend, a full-fledged backend, which is connected to a database. You're fetching the data from the database. You're posting the data inside that database. From the front end, you're making a request, you're getting a response, and you're doing a lot of different things. And this is what you're calling this as a full stack application. Now, you as a full stack developer would be responsible for handling your front end and your back end as well. So I hope the whole idea of full stack development is clear to everyone. That what is this full stack wala part? Make sense? Guys, does this make sense? Okay. Any doubts that you have related to backend or related to anything like that? Any doubts? Any doubts? Any doubts? Other people? Anurag, Kunal, anybody else who's having any doubts related to anything, maybe from front end or maybe from back end or anything? No? We good? Shall we move ahead? Now there is one small little part that I just want to focus on. Shall I? Just one last point, which is going to make you land to a good job of your dream job, I should typically say. And this is the most important part, like the most important part. And generally people tend to forget this or ignore that. I don't know why. Okay. How many of you are from computer science background? How many of you are from computer science? Okay. Anybody else who's from computer science? Okay. Now, if you are from computer science, most probably in your second year, or typically to be very exact, in third semester, you use something which is called as data structures, or even the electronics people also do this. Data structures algorithm. In third semester, you might have learned these data structures and algorithm, or even there is a subject which is called as DA, design and analysis of algorithms. Have you learned that? Like where you learn all this big O, small o, theta notations, upper bound, lower bound, running time complexity, space-time complexity, and all of these different things. You might have learned all of these things. This is where actually people lag. Like this is the bitter reality of software development. Yeah, it's actually like, if you don't know that, trust me, you'll not land on any job, like any job for that matter, like no matter how good full stack development you actually know. But the point is that if you actually do not focus on your data structures and algorithm, trust me, I just don't want to discourage you, but bitter reality, you won't be able to land on a good job. Like if you're thinking of Google or Apple or Amazon or all of these big fan companies, trust me on the fact that these people are very, very particular on problem solving. You might have even seen the first round that you actually give for the for the entrance of all of these big fan companies. They actually, the first round that they take, if you talk about me, I had 3 problem solving rounds when I went into Google, when I went into Apple. I had 3 problem solving rounds wherein they started from, I don't know, like they started out from like trees, graphs, maps, all of these different things. And they doesn't just ask you to write algorithms. Okay, go around and design a BST, or go around and design a B tree, or go around and design an AVL. No, it's not the case. What they rather ask you is a big fat real world problem statement that, hey, this is the problem statement that we are facing in the application. What do you think would be the best data structure, or what do you think would be the best algorithm that you can go around and run in order that it consumes less amount of time and it consumes less amount of space, because a lot of people would be dealing onto the same thing over and over again. If you talk about, chalo, I'm not going to go into so much excruciating detail about my company, but yeah, so this is how it goes, right? And that is why we actually are very much interested in actually making you a problem solver rather than just making you a full stack developer. Right, exactly. Because see, what the point is that just by learning front-end development and back-end development is not going to land on your good job. Problem solving is just equally important. That is why we have collaborated with a lot of different people, and we have came out with the two things that we'll be focusing the most on. That is going to be CodeChef. Have you ever heard about CodeChef? Have you ever heard about CodeChef? Yeah. For the people who are into problem solving, they'd be knowing what CodeChef is. I'll just give you a brief what CodeChef is. And the another one is HackerRank. Okay. Not exactly. Geeks for Geeks is good for reference purposes, but not for preparing for interviews. Not exactly. So these two, we have collaborated with CodeChef and HackerRank. The best point that I just want to give you is that once you'll be enrolling onto this course, or if you'd be my student, what we'll be doing generally, that we will be making you sit to the Innovatics platform itself. Like you will be getting your own credentials for your, what do you call this as, LMS and stuff like that. So you'll get the recorded content for each session as well. Alongside with that, you'll also be getting your own compilers, right? And what we'll be doing, we'll be putting all your CodeChef related problem statements out there. And we'll also be giving you the CodeChef credentials where you'll be writing up your own problem statements. Like we'll be posting your problem statements in the CodeChef. So it's going to give you two things. First, you'll improve your rank on CodeChef. The second thing, you'll also be doing good with the problem statements because the problems are pretty much the same way, right? So it's not going to be just a generic problem. So generally what happens is that if you talk about this problem statement, the very first thing that I found a lot of people fumble into is the input type and the output type. Or what you typically know is the input case and the output case. For example, that if I'm giving you a problem statement, I'll say, hey, my input is going to look something like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And your output should look like 0, 1, 4, 9, 16, right? I hope this is making sense. So if let's suppose if I'm giving you n numbers, you should be able to print all the squares of these n numbers. I hope this is making sense. And this is how the company asks you in the interviews as well. I don't know if you might have seen or have basically gone around and seen into all of these different things. They actually are very restricted to how the input is going to look like and how the output is going to look like. So if you're good with this and you can create a problem or you can create a solution out of this, trust me, if you're a good problem solver. And this is just a normal case that I'm giving you, a very generic case. Rather, we'll be dealing with a lot of data structures, for example, starting with arrays, array lists, linked list, stacks, queues, heaps, graphs, trees, Dijkstra, shortest path first, and all of these different kind of like things. So I hope you got a whole set of idea what full stack is going to offer you up. That what is a full stack developer and what are all the different roads you'll have to go around and explore. I hope this makes sense. Guys, I hope this makes sense to everyone. So cool. So let me actually just give you the heads up on the curriculum part, that what the curriculum is going to be. So if you'll basically will have a look on the curriculum is going to go this way. So there are basically, we are expecting no prerequisite. We know that you're going to be noob enough. Okay. So we'll just be treating you from the noob point of view. We'll be using Java most probably because the whole backend is based on Java. So you'll get a lot of heads up. Okay. For competitive programming. Yeah. So see, in the competitive programming, when you talk about competitive programming, you do not restrict yourself on any programming language. You could design the same thing on C. You can design the same stuff on Java. You can design the same stuff on JavaScript or Python or whatever programming language that you want. So even when you sit for all of these companies interviews, they don't judge you what programming language you are going to use on. You can use Java, you can use pretty much any other programming language as you feel comfortable with. The reason we have chosen Java is that we'll be designing the whole backend based on Java. So if you'll be having a good heads up on Java, you'll be good to go. Okay, cool. So out here, what we'll be doing, that we are expecting you to have like no prerequisites already, because we know that you'll be new and you are coming to us just because you think that, you know, there is a scope for learning. So I'll just treat you guys as the freshers, like literal freshers. Now, how will we be starting onto this? We'll do all the installations part, the VS Code and stuff like that. I'll just give you an overview for full stack development, which I've already given you. And the next thing that we are going to start from is going to be HTML. So we'll be learning inline elements, block elements, HTML, forms and form elements, types, buttons, anchor tags, images, videos, and even including YouTube videos into your applications if you're interested in that. So that's what you'll be doing. Alongside, we'll be giving you a little heads up on the miscellaneous tags or the HTML5 semantics. For example, the headers, footers, sections, mains, code tag, link tag, table tags, span tags, and all of these different things. Okay. Then we'll go to CSS. Now in the CSS, we'll be doing all the CSS selectors, attributes, the algorithms, that how you can navigate to first child, last child, second last child and stuff like that. Then we'll go to the box models, wherein we'll be talking about padding, margin, floats, and, you know, all of these different things. And then we'll be coming to the bootstrap part. Now in the bootstrap, there is a lot of into bootstrap. Now, not only will be exploring bootstrap, but alongside with bootstrap, we'll also be exploring the animations part, like how to make responsive designs. Of course, responsive design is a part of it. The media queries is a part of it. And in the bootstrap, we'll be talking about how the animation goes in. Like, for example, if you want to make transitions, how you're going to make those transitions and what you can do using bootstrap and the combination with CSS. Okay. The next part is going to be JavaScript. As I said, we are going to take a lot of time in JavaScript. First of all, I'll just give you the JavaScript fundamentals, that what is ES6, how the JavaScript is going to go for that. In JavaScript, there are a lot of different things. For example, if, else, loops, for loop, while loop, and even there are higher order array methods. For example, map, filter, reduce, and all of these different kind of higher order array methods. Then we'll be moving on to DOM and DOM manipulation, that how you can access your whole HTML using JavaScript, or how JavaScript and JavaScript is related. Then we'll go to events, for example, click events, input events, key up, key down, hover, all of these different DOM events, and how to actually manage these events. Then I'll just give you a little heads up on object-oriented programming in JavaScript. Not exactly up for us, but yeah, I'll just give you an overview. Then we'll move to the arrow functions, that how these arrow functions actually utilizes. And alongside with these, we are also going to talk about what is, I'm pretty sure that you might have heard about JavaScript promises. Promises ke bare mein suna hai? Promises and callbacks. So alongside with arrow functions, we'll also be doing the callbacks and you know, these things. Then we'll go to the Ajax, and in the Ajax, we'll be doing the client server, async and await. So yeah, when we'll be doing fetch, that fetch will actually make a lot of sense by using async and await. So when we'll be doing the fetch, we'll be talking about async and await. Then we'll go to the Ajax. We'll just talk about the client server architecture. We'll talk about XML JSON. We'll be talking about APIs. I just gave you a little heads up on API. If you remember the api.github.com/users. So we'll just give you a little heads up on APIs. We'll be testing APIs using Postman. We'll be talking about asynchronous data. This is where I'm just going to give you a little idea of async and await, just as Vikas said. So we'll be talking about asynchronous data, and we'll be inserting the APIs into the front end. Then we'll go to the React part. And in the React, we'll be talking about hooks. We'll be talking about props. We'll be talking about how to handle events, add, routing, third-party APIs using JSON servers and stuff like that. Alongside, we'll be doing the state management like context APIs and Redux. Okay, so this is the React part. Then I'll be giving you a little idea on GitHub, because GitHub is equally important, because you'll be contributing with a lot of developers and contributing to an open source as well. So I'll just, how many of you actually know how to use Git? Git, I'm not talking about GitHub, I'm talking about Git, like Git add, Git commit, Git push, Git pull, Git clone. So these are basic parts of Git. So I'll be telling you the Git basics, how to add stuff, how to contribute onto all of these things. You can fork, you can clone, you can make local repositories from your terminal itself. So if you actually know, if you actually go to your CMD and stuff like that, you can actually access Git directly from here. So if you just can write git -- version out from here, you'll see the version. You can do a lot of different things, right? You can clone stuff, you can get stuff, you can create your own local repositories, push a lot of things from the terminal itself. You do not need to go and drag and drop your all the options, right? So you can even contribute with multiple developers if you want that. Okay, cool. We'll be talking about branching, how to do merge conflicts and stuff like that. Then we'll move to the Java basics part. Now, alongside with that, the moment we'll be completing the version control, we'll be talking about Express and Node, because it's not going to take a lot of time because you're good with the JavaScript part. But we're not going to take too much time, but I just want to give you a head up. Okay, fine, this is how you can create a little backend. But before that, we'll be doing the Java programming part, wherein we'll be setting up the whole environment, the JDK and JRE wala part. And then we'll be talking about the basics, that how the basics gonna go. For example, how the arrays are created, how the loops works, what are methods, what are functions, object-oriented programming, what is objects, classes, and stuff like that. Then we'll be talking about the little intermediate part, for example, the OOPS concepts, like inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, different things like that. Then we'll be talking about collection framework, for example, array list, linked list, stacks, queues, sets. Now these are inbuilt. We will be talking about the exploration part, where we'll be creating our own classes of linked list and maps and all of these things. So we'll be talking about Java streams. If I'm not, how many of you have worked on Java streams? Anyone who has worked on Java streams, like filter stuff or filter the streams using Java? Anyone? I think no. So we'll be talking about okay, you have. Then we'll be talking about a lot of stream operations like filter and stuff like that. And we'll also be doing the Lambda expressions. So there is a provision of creating Lambda expressions, which you'll already will see in JavaScript. So you'll get a little heads up out there. Then we'll be talking about little exception and exception handling. For example, try, catch, final, finally blocks. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be just doing a little theoretical part, like what are exceptions, what are errors, what's the difference, how can handle exceptions, we cannot handle errors and stuff like that. Okay. Then for the database part, we'll be learning MySQL for the database, just for Java purposes. And I'm just going to give you a heads up on MySQL, that how MySQL works. For example, select star from something, or how to create database and give varchar and stuff like that. Okay. So we'll be working on databases, how to create tables, how to select data from the tables, how to create CRUD operations on databases. And then we'll move to file handling, how to use file handling like fstream and stuff like that. And then we'll move to the JDBC part. Now, whatever we have done in file handling or whatever we have learned in the database, we'll be creating application and we'll be attaching the whole Java application into a database called as MySQL using JDBC, which is called as Java Database Connectivity. Okay, so we'll be doing that. And then we'll move to the problem solving part, wherein we'll be doing a lot of algorithms part, wherein we'll be doing searching and sorting algorithms. We'll be learning recursion and backtracking. Because a lot of people doesn't have a good knowledge of recursions and how to find out the time complexity of recursive codes. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be talking about hashing. We'll be talking about stacks, queues, linked list trees, heaps, greedy algorithms, dynamic programming, graphs, digital algorithms, and all of these different things, right? And then at the end, we'll be creating a project out of the Java programming, whatever things that we have learned out here. Next is going to be the system designs. As of now, I'm just going to give you a little idea of system designs. I'm pretty sure a lot of people doesn't know about system designs. Here we will be talking about a lot of models. For example, models, how a server works, what is a load balancer, how the load balancer works, what are different things, how we can use cache, what are the different things on databases, SQL database, NoSQL database, what is a difference between a MongoDB database, and what's the difference between a PostgreSQL database, and all those different things. Alongside, we'll also be doing few case studies, like for example, URL shortening ke liye aapne bahut sari cheezein dekhi hongi, how that is done by using system designs and all of these different things. There is going to be class models, UML diagrams, and all of these different things. Okay, so this is also a part. Now again, it comes into under the hood of problem solving, which gives you a little heads up for the interview perspective. Then at the backend, as we have already discussed, we'll be talking about a little bit about web. Then we'll be talking about the backend design patterns. For example, MVC, if you might have heard about that, model view controller. We'll talk about that. We'll be talking about IOC, inversion of control, singleton, facade. We'll be talking about the adapter, mediator, and stuff like that. Then we'll be moving to the Spring MVC, model view controller. Then we'll be understanding the folder architecture, the one that I just showed you in the GitHub, that how there are a lot of files, a lot of folders that goes into, okay? Then we'll move to the servlets, JSPs, and servlet containers, the traditional way of doing this stuff. For example, do you remember at the time, like 5 to 10 years back, when your dad or maybe parents used to work with internet banking? You might have seen that 5 or 10 years back, there used to be a lot of hustle of creating, or accessing something from net banking or stuff like that. Have you seen that? बहुत तकलीफ होती थी पहले. Like for example, even if you used to go around and see your results. अगर आपने अपने छोटे भाई बहनों के या अपने बड़े भाई बहनों के रिजल्ट्स देखे होंगे, उस टाइम पे गेटिंग द रिजल्ट्स यूज्ड टू टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. हम बोलते सर्वर क्रैश हो गया या बहुत ट्रैफिक हो गया या ये हो गया वो हो गया. You might have seen that, right, when you go out for watching the results and stuff like that. So that was a traditional way of doing it by using servlets, JSPs, and servlet containers. We'll study that first. What was a traditional way? Then we'll move on to the Spring Boot framework. What's the modern way of doing things, right? This is where we'll be designing the whole stuff. And then we'll be doing the ORMs. If you remember, I just gave you a little heads up on ORM. If you remember out here, we discussed on with ORMs that how to connect a backend to a database using an ORM. So that's what we'll be doing in the ORMs part. So in the ORM, we'll be talking about JDBC versus ORM, and we'll be mapping it with the database tables using JPA, which is called as Java Persistence API. Okay, we'll be talking about entity and entity manager, repository classes, migrations, and all of the excruciating details. Then we'll be creating the RESTful APIs. Okay, what RESTful APIs is just that the things that I just showed you in out here. For example, this api.github.com. This is what we'll be designing. This is called as a RESTful API. So this is what we'll be designing at the end using Spring Boot. Okay, so we'll be doing that. Now then we'll be, as I told, that it's more secure. So we'll be also doing the user authentication part, wherein we'll be securing our own APIs using JWT, which is called as JSON Web Tokens. And we'll be doing that. So we'll be giving tokens and stuff like that. Alongside, we'll also be doing Auth0. So that's more modern way of, securing up your APIs. Then we'll be creating a blogging website out of the things that I just showed you. And at the end, we'll be also deploying that on AWS. So you'll also get a heads up on AWS. So whatever we have built, we'll integrate that to your front end. We'll create a full-fledged full stack application, and then we'll deploy it. And you can get a link out of using when you'll be using AWS. And alongside, I'll also give you a little idea how to deploy your applications on Heroku and GitHub pages. So this is the whole course curriculum. So I hope everything makes sense. Guys, we're good to go. Everything makes sense. Say again. So this is the whole stuff up. Okay. So this is what full stack is, and this is what Innomatics is going to offer you up. Okay. So this is the case. Now, if you have any doubts or if you have any queries or if you want to ask something, feel free to push me with any queries. I'm open to queries on your career. What should I do? I'm learning this. What should I learn? Or any problems or any queries that you're having, feel free to push out queries. Also, I'm just gonna again share you out with my LinkedIn, with my GitHub, and alongside with companies LinkedIn if you're interested. So again, this is my LinkedIn. If you wanna either request me or just text me along or DM me, that's up to you. You can do that if you'd be having any queries. This is the LinkedIn for Innomatics. So stay tuned with us, follow us around. And the reason is we'll be coming with a lot of hackathons and stuff like that. Okay, we keep on doing that. And just in case if you wanna go on to my GitHub, you can do that as well. This is the link for my GitHub. Okay. Cool. So if you have any problems, feel free to give me your doubts. I'll be more than happy to assist you with anything if you want. So yeah, feel free. Any questions in your head? Maybe I'm doing this, what should I do? Or anything like that? Can we enroll for selective modules? I don't know. Most probably no. I think no. Or maybe yes. You can talk to the team if you want to do that. So yeah, most probably you can talk to the team. Okay, you can just call them up, and most probably I do not have an exact idea if you can get a selective modules or not. Yeah, because see, that is why, na, Venkata, the reason is that I think Kanav might have told you about these things, like who's taking your batches, by the way, Venkata, who's taking your application development batch? I think Kanav is taking, he's the one, na? So I think he's working on what do you call this as Django and Flask. I think you guys would be working on Django and Flask, and you'd be talking about HTTP and all of these things, right? Yeah. So that's the whole thing that we'll be doing out here. So yeah, that's the case. You can, and you already are a earlier student, so you know how things goes in Innomatics. So we're pretty insecure about our students. So yeah, that's the case, right? So, sure. You can unmute yourself if you want to. Yeah, hi Venkata. You can unmute yourself if you wanna like.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, hi.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I at the starting when I am joining the Innomatics,
Mm-hmm.
I have enrolled to this full stack. I first want to join this full stack,
Mm-hmm.
but I had got distracted and joined in that data science course.
Mm-hmm.
They are teaching well, but it is not ending up well from my side.
From the Kanav's match you're talking?
No. From the starting itself, I can't understand those uh, what they are lecturing.
Who is taking up your batches? That's what I'm.
Present Kanav is taking.
Huh. So
He
Kanav
has
might have started up with the
statistics.
okay, statistics. He started on with statistics. Okay.
Statistics, but I can I can't understand those statistics topics and
Oh, so that's
what.
getting tough for you. You think you're
Yeah,
saying?
it's getting tough. So when I brought to this application development, I had loved this code,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
this coding
So
and
you can
entire this part.
you can do what is that you can actually swap onto your batches if you're interested in that. You can actually talk to the team.
Yeah.
Who
So
contacted you? Bobby.
he has given this reference link. Just try it
Okay.
once.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I asked Kano, so how can we get the future in this application development?
mm-hmm,
So he said, just there is a demo about full stack. You
mm-hmm.
can go through it.
Right, right. So
So
I
is
hope,
there any
yeah.
chance to get this full stack development?
Yeah, definitely. Like you can swap up. You can swap up. The batch I believe is going to start from either Monday or Tuesday. So you can stick to that batch, right?
Okay,
And you
okay,
can you can you can actually swap it. So that's
okay.
completely if
Because
you're
I
mhm.
can't understand those heavy mathematics
Yeah. So there is a
problems.
lot of mathematics that goes into data
So
science
if
engineering.
machine learning starts, Kano said it will be full of mathematics.
Right, right.
So
So
I
data
got
science and ML
some.
is completely on mathematics and
Yeah,
reference and
completely on
probability and
mathematics. If
stuff like
you
that.
can't understand it, you cannot get into some machine learning fields.
Correct,
So
correct.
I want to swap
Oh
that.
yeah, so Akhil says that batches are starting on 15. So most probably, yeah, it's starting with 15. If you're interested, you can swap up your batches. That's completely fine.
Oh,
Rather, Akhil, do one thing. Tap on to Venkata and please take on to whatever he's saying. Okay. I hope after the session you're just gonna like talk to him. Please talk to him. I'll talk to Kanav. Kanav is going to refer up with this number, and you can just talk to him and make it the experience seamless. All right. So we can
yeah.
do
Thank
that.
you.
Cool. Not an issue. Will be including testing libraries as well. Yeah, of course, of course. But like, how can you not talk about testing if you're doing something in the production build itself? So yeah, of course we'll be doing that. So we'll be working on the testing libraries also, and alongside with that, we'll also be working on what do you call this as hooks, state management, context APIs, Redux. So the important part of React. So that's also we'll be doing, and also alongside with that, when you talk about Java, we'll also be doing JUnit. So if you know that, have you ever heard about JUnit? So JUnit is basically a testing library for Java. So I'll also be telling you how to test your APIs as well, and also we'll be doing the API testing using Postman as well. So that's the more important, pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Hi, Megha. Megha, do you wanna say something, or do you have any doubts or anything? Okay, so I think that was by mistake. Cool. So any other doubts that you have? Any doubts? Any doubts? If you're good, if you don't have any doubts, just give me a yes. We can end up with the session then. Sir, I'm from a non-IT background, so should I go with the course as I need to switch my career and bit confusion? I'll tell you. I specifically explained one thing that I always do it with all of my students, and that is why I've clearly mentioned it in my curriculum. If you'll have a look out here, that I am expecting you to know nothing, like literally nothing, Kunal. So keep that in mind. That's the more important part. The point here is that we are expecting no prerequisites, like literally no prerequisites. Like I am going to, even if you know stuff, I'm still going to teach you. The reason is that I am expecting you guys to be a complete noob to full stack, and there are going to be a lot of people who will be starting from scratch. There might be a few people who might have done maybe like front end or back end or something like that, but I'm not expecting you guys to have any prior knowledge on anything. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay. Yeah, Sai, please do it. Please. Kunal, I hope I made my sense, or I hope this makes sense to you. Right? So we are expecting nothing from you. Yeah. Hi.
Actually, I'm
Mhm.
from Unix background. I mostly work on scripting part.
Mhm.
So,
The
like,
testing part you said.
no, scripting,
Oh, the
Linux and
scripting
Unix.
part. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like in the career point of view, can I go with the full stack development, or should I only stick to front
Rather,
end?
full stack is going to be a good career option for you because you have an idea on scripting, right?
Yes.
So this full stack is going to help you out a lot, and plus this the scripting, the experience that you'd be having for the scripting is going to be added on to few stuff, and you'll get a good advantage over to the new people who will be just learning full stack and then coming out to the market, because you already have experience learning and getting full stack. It's going to add on to your experience. So that's the case, because scripting, if you even talk about JavaScript, it's also a scripting language, because at the end of the day it uses ACMA, if you might know what ACMA is, because you're from the scripting background, right? So again, your JavaScript is also a part of ACMA, so it's going to give you a lot of heads up to the same thing. I hope this makes sense. So it's going to add on onto your career. You can reach on to Akhil, I guess. Akhil, if you are in the session, that would be great if you can just drop down your number to these people. And the reason is that most probably they'll be a little lost up that way to reach to whom. So Akhil is the connecting person. If you are interested, you can actually contact with Akhil. He can share you out with the curriculum duration and all of these different things. Okay, so if you have anything related to managerial side, gonna ask something, you can put that out. Okay, so here's Akhil's number. If you're interested, you can communicate with him either on WhatsApp or on call. He pretty much will be available. Okay, guys. So I hope all's good. Everything is good. All right. So any more questions? If you're good, if you don't have any questions, just give me a yes. Even if you want to connect with me and give me your doubts, you can just connect with me up on LinkedIn. That's completely fine. Okay, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you'd be having any personal questions which you don't want to discuss out here, you can actually give it to me on my LinkedIn. I'm completely open with that. I'm completely open to DM, so that's fine. Okay, so give me your doubts. If you feel like a little hesitant in discussing your doubts out here, you can discuss to me on DMs as well, so that's fine. Okay, so if you're good, just give me a big yes. We'll end up with the session then. Just a big yes, and we'll end up with the session. Cool. Great. So that was it from my side, guys. Thank you so